we'll understand a new concept called as convexity. Convex, what is the meaning of convex? Literal meaning of convex, first of all. Curve. Convex, concave. I think we studied in our physics light chapter. Lenses, correct? Yeah, 7th, 8th or 9th, I don't remember. But anyhow, convex lens. So there is something called as concept called as convexity of a bond. We are talking about a bond. So as we are learning all the features, the definition we learned, features we learned, types of bonds we learned, the risk involved in the bonds we learned, and also this is a concept called as convexity. So what is convexity of a bond? Very, very simple. Please listen, then understand, then we'll go further. See, the quantum increase in the bond price. So we know that the relationship between the bond price and even change in the yield, interest rate, correct? So what is the relationship between the bond price and interest rate? What is the relation? Inversely relating. Relation is inversely proportional, right? So when bond price increases, when interest rate increases, the bond price decreases, and vice versa. If interest rate decreases, bond price, agree? Theorem number 1. That is what? So those students who are not present in the previous class, now remember, there is a relationship between the price of the bond and the yield rate, interest rate. So when interest rate increase, bond price decrease. If interest rate decrease, bond price, we call it is inversely related. Are understanding? Right? On the continuity of that, theorem number 1 of a bond, okay, the concept called as convexity. So in this concept, you should understand the quantum increase in the bond price, the quantum andre ಏನು? The level, the quantum, the percentage, you can say the percentage, the quantum, quantity, the quantum increase in the bond price for a given decline, in the yield, andre interest rate, YTM, yield decrease ಆದರೆ increase ಆಗುತ್ತಾ, price increase ಆಗುತ್ತಾ bond ಇಂದು? Yes, the quantum ಅಂದ್ರೆ the level, the quantity of increase, all right, the quantity of increase in the bond price for a given decline in the yield is higher. Okay, this is very important. This is higher. That is the quantum increase in the bond price for a given decline. Andre the quantity of increase in the price in the bond when there is a decline in the yield is higher than the decline in the bond price, for a similar amount of increase in the bond yield. The quantum ಎಷ್ಟು increase ಆಗುತ್ತಲ್ಲ, ಡಿಕ್ರೀಸ್ ಆಗುವಾಗೆ ಅದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಆಗ್ತದೆ, ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಇರೋದು. ಸೊ ದ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಆಫ್ increase is greater, the level of increase ಯಾವಾಗ increase ಆಗುತ್ತೆ? ಬಾಂಡ್ ಪ್ರೈಸ್ ಯಾವಾಗ increase ಆಗುತ್ತೆ? ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ರೇಟ್ ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. The level of increase will be greater than the level of decrease. So hence the curve will be in this way. So this concept is called as convexity. Very, very simple. Okay, how to write in the given words? The quantum increase in the bond price, the quantum, this word is important. Quantum increase in the bond price for a given decline in the yield is higher than the decline in the or decrease in the bond price for a similar amount of increase in the bond yield, right? So it is not a linear in nature. This relationship is referred as convexity of a bond. In simple words, the level of increase in the bond price will be always greater when compared to the level of decrease in the bond price. So level of increase in the bond price when happens? When yield decreases. Level of decrease in the bond price when happens? Huh? When yield increases. So the level, the quantity of increase in the bond price will be greater than the quantum of level of decrease in the bond price when the same yield is increasing. So this concept is called as convexity. Okay, so maybe 2 marks question, convexity. So you should understand the concept, right? This is a continuation of bond theorem. The concept of increase in the, quantum increase in the bond price for a given decline in the yield is higher than the decline in the bond price for a similar amount of increase in the bond yield. This concept is referred as convexity. Let me explain convexity with example. See, bond yield bond yield increased for 1%, increased for 1%. Second scenario, bond yield decrease for 1%, right? There are two scenarios. Number one scenario, two scenario. Second scenario. So now tell me, when bond yield increases, what happens to bond price? Decreases. Will you agree? What happens if a bond yield decreases? So for this bond price increases, right? For this bond price decreases, right? Correct? Huh. Is this the bond yield same quantum, same magnitude, same value? Okay. So as this is same, try to understand. Okay. For same level, where it is, the quantum increase in the decline in the yield is higher than the decline for a similar amount of increase. Similar amount of increase or decrease. The bond price which is increased in this situation, bond price increase will be greater than bond price decrease. For same level, the effect on decrease in the bond yield will be more. That is, bond price increment will be greater when compared to bond price decrement. Okay. For the same level of change, the bond price increases in a greater level when compared to the bond price decrease. This concept is called as convexity. So we shall understand one more concept called as the term structure of interest rate. It is also called as yield curve. So these are some concept where you can expect question in interview. If at all, if you are facing any jobs like say investment banking, mutual funds, if you want to get into all the fund managing investments, then these are very common questions. So what do you mean by yield curve? Okay, the term structure of interest rate. Okay, the relationship between the yield and year to maturity. Very, very simple. So what is this yield curve? The yield curve shows the relationship between the yield and year to maturity of what? Bond. Year to maturity is called as term structure of interest rate, and it is also called as yield curve. Very, very simple. And the relation is increasing. It increases for certain height, then it becomes flat. What? Yield. Correct? So years goes on, yield will increase, right? Then it start reaching maturity or flat. So this is called as yield curve or term structure of interest rate. Any doubt? Yes. So let me explain the concept called as duration. It is also called as Macauley's duration. So what is this? It's very, very simple. It is a time duration which is required for any investor where he'll be getting back his principal amount. So there is a concept called as in FM payback period. Will you agree? So you remember? So whatever there is outflow, when you'll get back it, the what you put as outflow, when you're going to get back, in which, what is the time duration where you will get back your investment, the amount you invested, that is called as payback period. Correct? So similarly, for a bond, there is a concept called as duration, which tells you about the duration, I mean the time period required to get back the investor invested amount. Okay, our understanding. For example, in a bond, what happens? 100 rupees is a bond. So you'll be giving the 100 rupees. Every year, what you will get? Interest. So if the maturity period is say 5 years, duration, you can calculate the duration of that bond, which will be less than 5 years always, because before that only you'll be getting your 100 rupees which you paid early. So you'll be getting back that 100. Correct? So what is the time duration? So always duration will be expressed in terms of years. Clear? Any doubt? I repeat, the common way is to state how many years. How many years? So how many years? Investor has to wait until the bond matures and the principal money is paid back. Okay, in other words, in other way, measures the average time, it's a time taken for all interest coupons and the principal to be recovered. Right? The weighted average time, it is also in other words again, it takes to receive all cash flows, both coupons plus principal. So what is the time which required for an investor where he can get back all his principal amount and the expected cash inflows, coupon interest ಎಲ್ಲ ಸೇರಿ ಯಾವಾಗ ಬರ್ತದೆ? So that is this is the formula to find out. D is equal to C1. So what is C1? Interest amount. Okay, so interest amount C1. For example, if the bond, the face value is 100 rupees, interest rate is 10%, what will be the value of C1? 10. Very, very simple. Okay, yeah, let me explain you modified duration. So what is this modified duration? Is an adjusted version of Macauley's duration. It's an adjusted version of Macauley's duration that directly measures the price sensitivity. It helps us to measure the price sensitivity. So what level, in what percentage, if bond yield changes, then what percentage of price of the bond will also changes, we can find out by using the modified duration, right? Very, very simple. It helps us to understand the sensitivity of bond price. So yield, ಬಾಂಡ್ ಈಲ್ಡ್ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಆದಾಗೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಪ್ರೈಸ್ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಆಗುತ್ತಾ? ಎಷ್ಟು ಚೇಂಜ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ? 1% ಚೇಂಜ್ ಆದ್ರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಎಷ್ಟು ಚೇಂಜ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಬಾಂಡ್ ಪ್ರೈಸ್? ಅದನ್ನ ನಾವು ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು. ಇದರಿಂದ ಬೈ ಯೂಸಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡಿಫೈಡ್ ಡ್ಯೂರೇಷನ್, ರೈಟ್? ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಅ adjusted version of Macauley's duration. So what is the formula for modified duration? This is the formula. Please remember, this is the formula, right? Modified duration, that is MD, modified duration. It is nothing but is equal to D divided by, D stands for duration here, okay? Duration divided by R by P, that is 1 plus R by P. R means market held, P is number of coupons per year. P is number of coupons per year. R by P. And write down this formula also. Percentage change in price is equal to minus MD into the bracket delta BP divided by 100. So the main application of modified duration is to find out the percentage change in the price of what? Bond, when there is a change in the yield. So why this negative? Can anyone say? Because inversely proportional. That's why there will be minus. The minus indicates opposite direction. That's it. Arun buys a bond with 4 years to maturity. 4 years to maturity. The bond has a coupon rate of 9% and is priced at rupees 100 in the market. What is the duration of the bond? What will be the percentage change in the price of the bond if interest rate rises by 1%? First we'll find out duration. For that, columns, year, first column, okay, year, then cash flows, then present value factor, present value factor, present value, present value, fourth column divided by P naught, then fifth column divided by T. Yes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Cash flows. Come on, who can tell? So first year, what is the cash flow? How much? What is the amount you are going to get after 1 year if you buy this bond? First year, what you will be getting? How much you will be getting as an interest? 9 rupees. First year 9 rupees. Second year, 9. Third year, last, why were not 9? Principal ಬರ್ತದಲ್ಲ, right? So what is that? PVF, present value factor, ಅಥವಾ PVIF ಅಂತ ಕರಿಬಹುದು, present value interest factor, right? So what percentage? Here it is 9% only, okay? How to find out present value in so I sent you a table in the morning. At 9%, the first year 0.9174, next 0.8417, next 8.25, okay, 256. 9 ರೂಪಾಯಿ 1 ವರ್ಷ ಆದ ನಂತರ ಬರುವಂತ ಇವತ್ತಿಗೆ ಆ 9 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ಎಷ್ಟು ಗೊತ್ತಾ? 8.2. That is called as present value. Any doubt? Any doubt? ಇದು ಹೆಂಗ್ ಬಂತು ಸರ್ ಫಾರ್ಮುಲಾ? ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ ನೋಡಿ. ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ಫಾರ್ಮುಲಾ is equal to 1 divided by 1 plus r raised to n into future value. This is here, it is called as future value. ಫ್ಯೂಚರ್ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ತಾನೇ ಇದು. 9 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಮುಂದೆ ಬರ್ತದೆ. ಇವತ್ತಿಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ನೀವು ಈ ಫಾರ್ಮುಲಾ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಸೇಮ್ ಬರ್ತದೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ n is equal to 1 ಹಾಕೋಬೇಕು, ಎಫ್ ವಿ 9 ರೂಪೀಸ್ ಹಾಕೋಬೇಕು, 1 ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಆರ್, ಆರ್ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ 9%, 1 ಪ್ಲಸ್ 9% ಅಂದ್ರೆ 1.09. 1 ಡಿವೈಡ್ ಬೈ 1.09 ಇಂಟು 9 ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ನಿಮಗೆ ಇಷ್ಟೇ ಬರ್ತದೆ. ಫಾರ್ಮುಲಾ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ಟೇಬಲ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. 7.75. Okay. So what is the meaning of 77.215? Who will tell? 99.99. 100. We can take it as 100. Correct? So now 8.256 divided by 99.995 ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬರೀಬೇಕು 0.082, 0.0. This fifth column into t for t is first, same thing, 0.082, 0.075 into 2, 1651. Next, 3.54 years. What is this? Duration. 3.54 years. Mistake. 0.1514. Then total will be changed. Correct? What is the total? 3.5 duration. So just see the formula and now see the table. You'll understand. What is the formula? Duration is equal to C divided by 1 plus R raised to 1 whole divided by P naught. P aita? So what is that P? This is sum of the present value. Are understanding? Is it clear? Same formula in the tabular form we did. Any doubt? Understand the formula and table. So B question now. Write down. Just follow my words. Write down the formula first. Change in price, which you written previously. Change in price is equal to minus MD into change in BP divided by 100. Then modified duration formula. Is this over? Please tell me the formula. First, modified duration is equal to D divided by 1 plus R divided by P. So in this, D is, we found out, what is that? 3.53 divided by 1 plus R. R is 9%. That is 1.09. Then what is P? Number of times the coupon received. In this problem, it is 1. Every year you will get how many coupons? 1. Correct? So there is, here it becomes 1. For this problem, P is equal to 1. So the modified duration 3.53 divided by 1.09, that gives you 3.238. Okay. Modified duration we got. Now, percentage change in bond price is equal to minus modified duration into What is that? What is this delta BP? Change in the interest rate, which is in basis point. 1% is equal to 100 basis points. Right? Our understanding. And what is the formula? Full divided by 100. Okay. In our problem, what will be the percentage change in the price of the bond if interest rate rises 1%? Change ಎಷ್ಟಾಯ್ತು? 1% means how many basis point? 100. So here minus here indicates opposite, inversely relation. So MD is 3.238 into change in basis point, that is 1%, that is 100 divided by 100. So what get cancelled? Minus ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಬೇಕಾ ನಾವು? Final answer. What is the percentage? 3.238%, which is minus. Why minus? What will be the percentage change in the bond price if the interest rate rises? Bond price decreased by, so answer, conclusion. No, 1% is equal to 100 basis point. If they given 2%, would have taken here 200. Clear? See, basis point. We shall take one more problem of finding a duration. Here we shall understand first the question. The calculated duration of a bond A and bond B with 7% and 8% coupons having a maturity period of 4 years. The face value is 1000. The face value is rupees 1000. Both the bonds currently yield 6%. This is very important. 6%. So now let me take up for bond A solution, finding duration for bond A. Okay, the columns, as we know the how to find out duration. The first column is years, so the maturity period is 4 years again. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And cash flows, the first year. So the bond face value is 1000, 7%, that is 7% means 7% on 1000, 70, 1000, 70. The last year we'll get back our principal amount. Then next column, present value interest factor at, this is very very important, please listen. You are not supposed to take 7% or 8% because the yield, current yield is 6%. We should take 6% present value interest factor at 6%. See the table and please let me know. 0.94348900, 0.8396, 0.721. Okay, next column, present value of this cash flows, multiply. Fourth column divided by P naught. Fifth column divided by T. What is the total of this? 1034 point. Check, cross check others. Don't just write. Correct? Next. Each present value divided by the total, because this is P naught. 0.0638 this is into 1, this is into 2, this is into 3, and last one into 4. 0.819 into 4. Duration is equal to 3.612 years. Now you try for bond B. Next finding for bond B, present value in interest factor at 6% ತಗೋಬೇಕು. Second column CF change ಆಗುತ್ತೆ 80 80 80 1080.